I live? Hello, it is I, El Vencedor, coming at you live from my bedroom. Where else am I going to be? Well, I have a little announcement. Just a little thing. You might be wondering, hey, what is Pokemon? What is a game? How about some Skyrim? Something. I don't want to see your face. Well, the thing is, my keyboard is having some issues, and I don't know how to fix it. I'm trying to fix it. Mostly, excuse me, mostly the S keyboard is getting a little sticky. Gotta fix that. And the D key is also a little wonky. Gotta fix that as well. Excuse me, I got some gas. Sorry about that. Sorry about the mental image. But the thing is, I am dedicated to entertainment and I am dedicated to streaming. Even when I don't have the energy. If I don't have the energy, I don't stream because I gotta take care of myself. That's the rule. Anyway, this is a real talk with me, El Vencedor. A short evening with me, El Vencedor. So I'm gonna cover a couple of topics today, including the recent Pragmata controversy, Gnosticism. I want to talk about that, and if we have time and I have the energy for it, I'm gonna share with you guys a story. Okay. Now, the first thing I want to talk about to you guys today is Pragmata, something I just learned about. It's this new game by Capcom, and I don't have a good relationship with Capcom. Well, not anymore. When I was a child, Capcom was one of my top gaming companies because I played a lot of Capcom games and Konami games too. I played Street Fighter, I played Mega Man, Magical Quest starring Mickey Mouse. I loved Capcom. And then they started remaking their games. I mean, re-releasing Street Fighter 2. There's Street Fighter 2, there's Street Fighter Turbo, there's Street Fighter Ocasio Kemas, Hyper Street Fighter 2, this other Street Fighter 2, Street Fighter 2, and blah blah blah, yada 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 yada. Like Skyrim for everything, only a Street Fighter 2. Anyway, Pragmata, it's this action adventure a game where you play as an astronaut named Hugh and you have a little robot daughter named Diana. I haven't played it. I don't have a PS5 and my PC is too chunky to play something like that. I cannot play it. But I did see some videos about it. I did see the what it was about, and I saw some reactions to the game. Specifically, reactions from people who ostensibly agree with me politically, liberals and leftists of other walks, and they all hate the game. There's two types of haters: those who say that all the fans of Pragmata are pedophiles, and those who see Pragmata as some wild natalist propaganda. Let me tell you this right now: they're both pendejos, stupid. And the reason for that is this: it's a game, ladies and gentlemen. It's a video game, a single player video game that's gonna be forgotten in I'd say 5 months by the time we get some good stuff. Like I don't know, Pokemon. I don't know, but I'll tell you that about the reason why so many people are up in arms about it is because they want to be. People enjoy complaining about things. They enjoy complaining about things they don't like, and they don't like them because they don't understand them, because they don't have the capacity for thinking. Calling all Pragmata players pedophiles, the reason for that is because there was a Pragmata Reddit, subreddit, I mean, and that Pragmata subreddit was filled with childhood pornography drawn by a scant few users who really, really should have been banned at first offense. Like, really, ban them. And then the whole subreddit got banned, and one of the moderators quit the subreddit because of all the child pornography. Now, child pornography, that is bad, ladies and gentlemen. That is very bad. Do not consume the child pornography. Do not draw the child pornography. If you see any child pornography and you know anyone who enjoys that, contact the police. Contact the FBI. Don't let them walk away. But also, let's try using a little logic. You can't judge a whole community because some bad apples decided that it was fun to draw some pornography about the little android girl. Which, again, I have to say it's bad. That is very bad. Drawing pornography. Those people should have been ashamed of themselves and they should have been locked away, really. They should have been locked away. I condemn the people who drew the pornography, but I do not condemn the community, the players who enjoyed a game that just so happened to have some pedophiles drawing pedophile baloney of the game. Because every community has its scumbags. Every community. Doesn't matter if it's the Disney community. It doesn't matter if it's the League of Legends community or the My Little Pony community, the Steven Universe community, the Nick Jr. community. Everyone has scumbags. Everyone has scumbags, and you gotta realize that. You gotta realize that there will always be scumbags everywhere. And what do you do about it? Well, you gotta do something. Because those scumbags are gonna ruin it for the rest of us. It's kind of like this controversy. Way back in the year, was it 2013 to 2014? It was called the Princess Molestia controversy. Now, way back 12 years ago, 13 years ago, there was a fandom of My Little Pony called the Bronies. These were grown men who enjoyed a cartoon for little girls. And they enjoyed the cartoon because it was very well made, very well animated, very well written. And it had good music. It was fun for everyone. And these grown men found something they could enjoy. And like everything, there were also some scumbag bronies who decided, hey, let me make some porn out of this. And they were, a little louder than they had to be, and a little more visible than they had any right to be. And one of those guys made a blog, a Tumblr blog called Ask Princess Molestia. And Princess Molestia was a unicorn princess who liked to molest people. She also had wings, but that would be explaining too much about the show. And I'm not really in the mood to explain more about My Little Pony because I don't watch that anymore. I mean, I watched the first 5 seasons of 10, or was it 9? I'm not sure. I stopped watching. Anyway, Ask Princess Molestia was not pornographic, but it was the closest thing to pornographic that you could get away with on a website that was accessible to children. And that was bad, but there was also the fact that the blog was rated M for mature and it was clearly aimed at an adult audience. And a whole hoopla was made about it, including the beginning of a movement called Stop Princess Molestia, which was spearheaded by a known crybaby who was also the kind of person who harassed people who she didn't agree with and who was very violent with her ex-boyfriends. That point is very important. Very important indeed. Now, Princess Molestia was eventually canceled under its own terms. So nobody actually lost. The Stop Princess Molestia movement got what it wanted, and Princess Molestia ended on its own terms. What can be done? What can be done? Now, the damage, however, was already done. And so, to people outside the Brony community, their first impression of the Bronies was this one blog. This one pornographic blog, or semi-pornographic, aimed at an older audience. That was the one that got the exposure. And so people who had no idea what the Brony community was just assumed, hey, this is what they like, this is what they make. And that's bad. But what's even worse is the sloth around everything, because people have a tendency not to think. Because thinking is hard, very hard. So they do a quick search, a little research, and they see things like the Princess Molestia blog, and from there they go from conclusion to conclusion to conclusion. Oh no, a brony made a blog that was semi-pornographic. Oh no, that means all bronies are pedophiles. Oh no, that means that all bronies are evil, which means we have to get rid of them. We have to bully them. We have to make sure to ruin all their lives and make sure that none of them have any dignity. And that's how it goes. That's how it goes down. People have a tendency not to think. And the same thing happened to Pragmata. Again, people don't think. They see the basest of base things, and from there, they jump to conclusion to conclusion to conclusion. Oh no, a few bad apples, a few bad people made pornographic content. Oh no, that means the entire community is full of pedophiles. Oh no, that means the entire community, that the game itself is pedophile material. And every gamer who enjoys this game is a pedophile. And so we need to make sure that these people are punished. These people are shamed. But I'm cleaning this all up. Think, think. Hold on. If there are 1,000 people in a community and only 10 of them are posting pedophilic content, and the rest of these people are arguing against that pedophilic content and want it removed, then shouldn't we base this community on those 990 people? No, that's too hard. Let's judge the entire community on these 10 pedophiles. And that's what they do. They base the entire community on 10 pedophiles. And, that ruins it for the rest of us. Because now this one game that looks pretty fun and looks very adorable can't be enjoyed by guys without other people who have nothing better to do with their lives, assuming they are pedophiles. Where's the logic? Oh, and it gets worse. It gets worse because the other side of the argument now, because again, there are people who don't think. There are people who say, oh no, Pragmata is just natalist propaganda because it makes gamers want to have kids. I'm giving you a look. This look means I am beyond words. That's stupid, man. That's stupid. Again, let's think. Let's think. Think. Wanting to have kids. Not everyone wants to have kids, let's be honest. And not everyone knows they want to have kids. Ah, my country. Always with the loud music and the loud radios, driving down the road, promoting caca. I don't care about that. I tell you what. Yeah. Anyway, natalist propaganda. Just because a game aimed at guys makes them want to have children of their own does not make it natalist propaganda. It's just a game that awakens something in guys like me, something they didn't even know they had, the desire for a child, the desire for that love, that paternal love. And in another time, 10, 20 years ago, this would have been applauded. Hey, great, something that brings out the softer side in guys. Fantastic, something that teaches guys a better message than just violence and destruction. Something that inspires tenderness. That's great. That's fantastic. No. Nowadays, oh no, paternalism. Oh no, natalism. That is so bad. That is so bad. Oh no, not traditional values. Oh no. Shut the buoy up. A lot of people don't think. They don't think. And that's actually one of the major themes of today's stream. People don't think. Let's criticize natalism. Telling people, oh, you have to have kids, you have to have a family. That is bad. That is very bad. Simply put, not everyone should be a father. Not everyone should be a mother. Not everyone should be a parent. There are people who are better off being childless. Let's be honest. And every child deserves a parent that is good to them, that wants them, that sees them as something worth having, something worth protecting, something worth loving unconditionally. My protection of you, my child, is unconditional. My love is unconditional. That's something good. Teaching people, hey, this love for children, it's good. That's a good thing to teach people. And that's not what the game is about, natalism. It's about how good it feels to love a child and be loved back by a child. That's something good. That's something amazing. Oh, but people like Hassan Piker are going, well, gamers don't deserve love. The gamers this, gamers that, blah, 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 blah. Hassan Piker, shut up. You are no comrade. You are not a comrade. Because gamers are proletariats too. We work hard too. And we are just as much victims of the capitalist nightmare as you are, as anyone else is. And many of us are equally trapped in the dungeons of capitalism, the dungeon of overconsumption, the dungeon of identity based on purchase. That is bad. But we gamers are more than that. We're not just people who consume blindly. We consume what we love because we love games. We adore them. How about me? I'm autistic. I was born different. And I was not like everyone else. I was not into sports. I was into books and I was into video games. In video games, I found my safe space, my my what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word I'm looking for? Safe space. I found something that gives me passion, something that makes me feel alive, makes me feel happy. When I play games, I feel happy. And as someone who identifies himself as someone who loves video games and plays them, I consider video games part of my identity. Therefore, I am a gamer, someone who plays video games. I'm not ashamed of that. And Hassan Piker and many others of his ilk see me and they see someone who deserves to be a kissless virgin until the day I die. They see me as someone worth their scorn. Just because a video game might make me want to have a child. Because a video game reminded me, hey, parenthood is not a nightmare. It can be a blessing too. Again, nothing in there but the wind. People don't think. They don't think at all. They don't say, hey, maybe this video game is presenting something that is inherently wrong with society and is underscoring the way that our current capitalist system, our current economic and social model, is alienating people, certain men, from pursuing romantic relationships because these men are constantly bombarded with propaganda that convinces them they are not good enough for women, that convinces them that no woman is worth chasing if she doesn't have a body like Alexandra Daddario or Sydney Sweeney, and those are just examples I'm giving. It's not just them. And at the same time convinces these men that they are pathetic losers, and so they act like pathetic losers because that's all they know how to act, because they don't have any role models that teach them, hey, here's how you properly should act. They don't think that. It's just so much easier to think, well, gamers are losers, they deserve scorn, they deserve to be bullied. Bring back bullying. And that's something I have actually read from video game journalists. Oh, goodness. Goodness me. I'm reminded of Gamergate. Controversy from 10 years ago, actually 12 years ago, which began by a game developer, well, game developer called Zoe Quinn, who made a game called Depression Quest, which was caca, and allegedly she slept with five guys, five game journalists. And there was a boyfriend of hers, Iran Gioni, who wrote a post about the whole thing, detailing all the ways this woman abused him. And in that post, he wrote about how she cheated on him with five guys, including guys who were video game journalists who wrote glowing reviews about her game. And people began to think. They began to question. They began asking hard questions. And many Redditors, many Reddit mods started snip, snip, cutting those threads and deleting the posts about Zoe Quinn. And then on August 28th, 2014, a whole lot of game journalists wrote the same story, how the gamer identity was in the past, how game companies don't have to cater to gamers anymore because gamers were over. And people got in a tizzy about that, and a controversy erupted. And in the 12 years since then, nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. We still have reactionaries. Gamergate began as a reaction to this conceited effort by games journalists who are in the pocket of the game industry to silence gamers and to just blindly buying their product. Buy the product blindly. That's the whole thing. And then some game journalists were like, no, no, no. See, I'm a good person. I have these politics. And so they signaled their virtue. They virtue signaled about how pious they are, about all the good things. No, I'm a feminist. I'm about the women. No, no, no. I'm against this misogyny. The misogyny that Zoe Quinn was facing, the misogyny that Anita Sarkeesian was facing, the misogyny against uh, what was that other girl's name? Brianna Wu. Not remember. Oh, the name just escaped me. The name escaped me. I don't know what happened there. Anyway, instead of thinking, doing some actual thinking, people just kept reacting to everything. Oh, gamer gators are uh, sexist babies who don't want women in games. Oh no, these games journalists are all a bunch of virtue signaling hacks. Oh, we need to stop them. No, we need to stop them. No, we need to stop them. No, we need to stop them. Instead of thinking, hey, wait a minute, here are some game journalists who are in the pocket of major game developers, major game studios, telling the consumers what to think. And then they hide their obvious corruption by virtue signaling. And here are a bunch of angry consumers who don't realize that they are being lied to by the corporations that they are defending. And the whole thing was taken advantage of by right wingers, far right wingers. That's where the alt right really began to make its movement. So give me a second. My screen was a little smudged there. Basically, that's what this whole thing is. It's just a continuation of the crap that started Gamergate, which was in turn just reaction to everything. Thoughtless reaction. Because the game industry is corrupt, it's bloated with high top execs who overestimate their developers' capacity and underestimate the pressures of making a game and releasing it on time and making it good. They keep squeezing the life out of their developers and their programmers and their artists and all their workers. And then they charged gamers, their consumers, exorbitant prices. But it's not the workers who see the lion's share of that income. It's the heads of studios. They take everything and then they sprinkle some leftovers for their workers. And they distract the consumers with this garbage, telling consumers, hey, no, the problem is the feminists. No, the problem is the gamers. No, the problem is this. The problem is that. No, no, no. Stop, stop and think. Think, my friends, think. Just like in Pragmata, the problem is people telling you what to think. And they tell you what to think based only on surface level ideas, surface level evidence. Conclusions jumped after doing 5 minutes of research on the first page of Google. That's what this whole thing is about, really. That's what everything is about. People telling you how to think. And you can never allow people to tell you how to think. Okay? If you want to play Pragmata, do it. In fact, stream it. And if anyone tells you, oh, this is the pedophile game, you're a pedophile for playing this, give them the middle finger. I'd show you the middle finger myself, but I don't know if my mom's going to watch this. I'm not going to take a chance. I know my brothers are watching this. Well, my older brother is watching this. I don't know about my little brothers. Yeah. Think for yourself. That's something I always keep saying. Think for yourself. There was a time in my life, when I wanted others to do the thinking for me. I wanted that feeling of being in the right of something. I did not want to take the risk of coming to the wrong conclusions myself. Then one day I realized something because I accidentally said to myself out loud, please tell me what to think. When you hear yourself saying those words, you gotta realize you are messed up. You are in a messed up situation, and that is not a situation you should be in. When people do the thinking for you, they take away your right to be informed, to jump to your own conclusions. I lived sort of an interesting life. I'm not gonna tell you it's been interesting. It's been quite common, but it's a life that has been marked with always being different, always thinking differently, and being scolded for it. Individual thinking is sometimes seen as, dangerous, inconvenient at best. They say great minds think for themselves, but then society has a way of saying, you're not a great mind, you're just wrong. No, you're not a great mind until after you have been proven right, until after people accept that you're right. Until then, you're a maverick, a dangerous thinker, someone who deserves to be scorned. That's how it's always been. That's how it's always gonna be, it seems. This leads me to tonight's other topic, Gnosticism. It's one of the most dangerous religions, well, dangerous faiths in the world, but not for the reason you're thinking. When people think dangerous faith, they think something like Islam. They think of men were strapped with bombs shouting Allah Akbar, boom, which is Islamophobic. And that's bad. Don't think like that. No. When I say, or maybe they think about slightly less killer religions like Scientology, which drains people of their money. No, the reason why Gnosticism is considered so dangerous, it's because it's on its core, at its core, Gnosticism tells its followers, hey, think for yourself. Look inside of you. Look inside of you. But what is Gnosticism anyway? Well, let me explain it to you. See, way back in the 2nd century of the Common Era, that is the year 100 AD to 200 AD, there was Christianity, and there were all different flavors of Christianity. One of the wilder flavors of was Gnosticism. A type of Christianity which said, hey, wait a minute. We've been lied to. We have been lied to. See, Gnostics believe something a little different from the average Christian. They believe the creator of this world is not worth worshiping. They believe that the real God, one way, way higher up than heaven, is the real God. And he exists outside of heaven, of this world. And this world is a world of evil. Well, that's difficult to explain. So instead, let me give you the mythology. In Gnosticism, the mythology exists to explain the ideas better. See, there are two realms, the perfect pleroma and the empty kenoma. In the pleroma, there is the monad, the divine, unknowable, unseeable, unspeakable All-Father, the real God. And he has emanations, that they are pieces of him that come out of him and act like them their own people, but they're also part of God. It's a little hard to explain. So, one of those emanations is called the Christ. You know who that is. And another emanation is called the Sophia, or the wisdom. She's at the very, very bottom of the totem pole because she's just the wisdom. And above her are the justice, the love, and that sort of thing. So this Sophia is like, oh wow, what is the well, actually, this is disagreed upon by most Gnostics. I'm giving you what I think is the correct, what I think happened. The Sophia looks up at the Father and says, wow, look, the Father, it's so mysterious. He's so amazing. I'm going to make an emanation just like him. And Sophia, most emanations have a partner, a husband or wife. And Sophia says, I don't need my partner for this. So Sophia makes an emanation without her partner. And that was a mistake. The emanation she creates is not like the rest of the monad, not like the other emanations. The other emanations are golden and beautiful, heavenly, beyond words. And what Sophia made, not that. So Sophia looks at her emanation and she's like, mistakes were made. So Sophia takes her emanation, she exits the pleroma and puts the emanation into the kenoma, the great emptiness. There is nothing there. Just a whole lot of nothing. A whole lot of nothing. And that little emanation looks around and he says, oh, there's nothing here except for me. I am God. And that's the thing he makes. So the emanation called Yaldabaoth, we don't know what that name means, but some people call him Samael, the blind god. Samael decides, hey, you know what? Hey, I'm in charge of this spot. This is my world. I'm God here. And so Samael says, I'm gonna make light. And he makes light. And then someone else says, ooh, this light is good. This light is good. And then he says, I'm going to make emanations just like me, but smaller and weaker. And he does. They're called the archons. Other people call them angels. And then someone else says, oh, hey, this is good. This is good. This is good. Oh, okay. Hold on. I'm going to make land. Ha ha ha. And he makes land. And then he makes the sea. And then he separates the land from the sea. And then he makes, I'm going to make animals. I'm going to make plans. I'm gonna separate the light from the darkness. And then he says, "Oh, you know what I'm not gonna do? What I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make a being that kind of looks like me, but it's mortal, and it's made out of mud." So Samael takes some mud, some dust, breathes some light into it, and out comes the first man. Meanwhile, Sophia's like, "I screwed up so badly. I gotta fix this. I gotta fix this." So Sophia takes a piece, a tiny little spark of divine energy from the pleroma, flies down to the earth, and gives that divine spark right into the man. And the man is illuminated. He says, "Wow, wow, I, I am aware of myself. I know everything. I don't belong in this world." And Samael says, "Oh, no, 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 no. Hey, hey, you're not supposed to do that. Hold on, let me fix this." So he cuts the man in half. One side is called a man, the other is called a woman. And he says to the man, "Okay, you're the one in charge. She's subservient to you." By cutting the man in half into the man and a woman, the divine spark is diluted. And so the man and the woman are not aware of their new divine nature. So they exist in this new garden that Samael creates for them, a Garden of Eden. You might know that one. And then Sophia says, okay, 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 okay. That did not work out. I have another idea." So Sophia takes a little divine spark, plants it in the Garden of Eden, and from it came the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And Samael says, "Hey, hey, hey, you two, don't you eat from that fruit." And when Adam and Eve ask, "Why not?" Samael says, "Because if you eat from that, you're gonna die. You're gonna die. I promise you that." And so Samael leaves, thinking, "Hey, they're gonna obey me." And then Sophia flies down again, takes on the guise of a snake, and says, "Oh no, he's lying. He's lying. Eat from the fruit, and you're gonna know good and evil. You're gonna know good and evil. You're gonna wake up, and you're gonna realize that you're being lied to." So Eve takes a bite of the fruit because deep down she knows the snake is right. Oh, wait a minute. I'm not dead. I'm actually naked. Why am I naked? And so she goes to Adam and says, "Hey, Adam, God lied to us. Here, eat the fruit. You're not going to die from it." Adam eats the fruit. Delish. Oh, why am I naked? Why are you naked? Why are we naked? Why are we here? This isn't right. We should not be naked. We should be clothed. And and why are we acting like animals? And we shouldn't be out in the open like this. And so Adam and Eve cover themselves up with vines because, they shouldn't be naked. They shouldn't be. Give me a check while I turn on the light, okay? Okay, sorry about that. Continuing the story. And then Samael returns and says, "Well, okay, wait, hold on, hold on, hold on. Okay, you two, why are you covering yourselves up with leaves?" And Adam says, "Well, we ate from the tree that you told us not to. I can't help but notice we're still very much alive. And I can't help but notice we were naked. And what were you up to? What did you make us for, huh?" And Samuel said, "Okay, you know what? You know what? You're out. You're out. You're out. Screw you. You're out. No more eating for you. And I'm gonna make sure you suffer for the rest of your lives. Suffer." And he made good on that promise. And then Adam and Eve went out of Eden, And then the archons decided to rain down on Earth again. You remember those archons, right? The angels. And well, basically, what happened next is the archons had their way with Eve, which is bad, and Eve had Cain. And then they had their way again, and Eve had Abel. And then God, Samael, was like, ha 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 ha, I have an idea. Let's mess with the humans a little more. And so Samael started messing with the humans. So he played favorites. He made Cain jealous of Abel. Cain did what he did. You know what he did. And then God's like, oh no no no, no, you're not gonna be punished, Abel, Cain. You're just out of here, but I'm gonna protect you. And so Cain was given a mark, and he was allowed to have his sister with him because Cain had a sister. And they went off to the land of Nod, and they made cities and had a lot more babies. And then Adam and Eve finally had a child of their own, and his name was Set. And Adam told Set everything. He said, "Okay, Set, here's the truth. The one called Samael, the Yalabath, Yahweh, not God. The real God, high up above, and you have a divine spark in you, just like me and your mother. And so long as you remember that divine spark, you are going to return to the pleroma once you die." And Seth's like, very good, Dad. Thank you. And Yaldabaoth is like, Samael is like, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. And so Samael's archons going down on Earth, and they start going up, bow, chicka, bow, wow, with the women. And you know what they're doing. And the pleroma, the monad is like, Sophia, what's going on here? Sophia tells them everything that happened. And the Christ says, okay, give me a second. Let's do something about this right here. And so the Christ creates 4 emanations with his wife. He has a wife, by the way. And the 4 emanations go down to earth, and they start slaying the children of women and the archons, the Nephilim. And they start telling the archons, hey, stop having sex with women. You're doing something evil here. And Samael says, hey, stop it. Stop messing with my world. And the Christ is like, no, you fix this. And Samael gets so mad, he floods everything, except for Noah and his kin and 2 of every animal in the world, because he doesn't want to go through this whole thing again. And the Christ kind of convinced him not to. And although Noah, a descendant of Seth, starts worshiping Samael again, there remains yet the ability to remember the divine spark. And it stays like that, though, people living in ignorance, until eventually, in the days of the New Testament, that Christ says, you know what, hold on. People need to remember something here. I'm going to go down there myself, and I'm going to reveal to them the truth. So the Christ takes on a humanoid form, a human form called Jesus, born in Nazareth. And as Jesus, the Christ, tells people all about the pleroma, heaven, how to live a good life, what you should do, etc., etc., etc. And then he got crucified for it. This part is well known. This is agreed on by all Christians. He got crucified, and then he resurrected. For us Gnostics, though, that part, the resurrection is not what's important. What's important is everything that came before that. The message, the lessons, which is, hey, be a good person. Don't be a jerk. Don't be a jerk. And here's God. Try worshiping him properly. Don't go around doing all these sacrifices. Don't go around blaspheming. Don't go around doing this or that or this or that. Live right, live right, and have a personal relationship with divinity. That's the gist of the Christ lessons. And that's the thing that most people tend to ignore because people are encouraged instead to just say, no, see, I accept Jesus as my savior, and that's all I have to do. And in Gnosticism, people say, no, that's not enough. You got to live right. You got to remember the truth. You got to remember the truth inside of you. You got to do some work. You got to do a whole lot of stuff. You can't be lazy. Laziness, ladies and gentlemen. Sloth. What is sloth? It's one of the 7 deadly sins. You guys know those, right? Well, I believe that sloth is one of the more dangerous of the deadly sins. Sloth isn't just not wanting to work. It's not just you getting out of work so you can drink some beers while watching the game on TV or playing video games when you should be, I don't know, mopping the floor. Sloth is more than that. Sloth is the rejection of work, the acceptance of shortcuts, the acceptance of the easy route, the easy answers, because they demand less work. Sloth is things like just accepting that a group of people are evil just because of a few bad apples. It's a type of ignorance. It's slothful to just mark an entire game as being pedophile bait just because of the actions of a loud minority. A minority that it's the community it's that said minority is a part of rejects them. A rejected minority. It is wrong. It is wrong to base your conclusions on minimal evidence. Evidence that you only gathered doing the absolute bare minimum of research. You do not get to just type in, to give an example relevant to this stream, pragmata controversy onto a Google, and then you read the first 3 sentences of a paragraph detailing the child pornography on Reddit, and then say, oh, that's what's going on. I'm done. No, that's sloth. Sloth, my friend, sloth. Don't accept force-fed answers. Don't accept answers people give you. That's what happened in Gamergate. People accepted the answers others gave them. And when it was time to stand up for what they believed in, to really do some work, they just accepted what everyone else was saying. The alt-right started telling Gamergaters, hey, the problem is feminists. And many Gamergaters, shamefully, I have to include myself in that number, accepted this as fact. Instead of doing the work and saying, no, the problem is the bourgeoisie. The problem is how the bourgeoisie are controlling not only the product we consume, but the opposition to that product we consume. They are controlling how we think. And that is sloth. When you let yourself be told what to think by others, whether it's clickbait, whether it's opinion pieces by virtue signalers, you do not have an excuse for being so slothful. You have a responsibility, and that responsibility is to yourself. The most important responsibility there is. You owe it to yourself to research, to think for yourself, to use this that you are blessed and cursed with. Because when others do the thinking for you, you lose your divine spark, the spark inside of you. And you are trapped here in this world of cancer, this world of rot, this world of entropy, just like Samael designed it. And it is only your knowledge that is going to free you from this jail, from all of this. What's a word? What's a proper word? I want to use a proper word. I don't know what proper word to use right now, but I don't want to say bullshit. I don't want to be lazy in that regard. I want a word with power. Your knowledge sets you free. That is the core tenet of Gnosticism and why it resonates so well with you. Knowledge sets you free. Unfortunately, that knowledge is also gonna cost you. It's going to destroy your illusions. It's gonna destroy your social standing. It might destroy your social standing. You might see people reject you. You might see people judge you. But when that happens, that's how you know you're doing the right thing. Because there's nothing easy in this life. Nothing is ever easy. And that which was worth doing, that's the stuff that's gonna make you cry. That's the stuff that's gonna make you sweat, bleed. But you're on the right track. I end this stream with the same way I did last week's stream, imploring you to be an independent thinker. Question everything. Most importantly, question what you believe in. Why do you believe it? Why is it so important to you? Don't just accept easy answers from other people because other people are looking to control you. They're not gonna free you, they're gonna control you. The only one that can free you is yourself. Well, this is Vencedor saying thank you for watching. Give it a like if you like, subscribe if you want more. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.